Hello friends, today we are going to talk about environmental influences on development. The objectives of studying this module are to understand the influence of environment on development of the child, to determine the various environmental factors that contribute to the child's development. Introduction. The development of a human is based on various factors, two of which are of most defining for an individual, that is heredity and environment. These two parameters define how we grow and how we turn out to be. A debate on the importance of heredity and environment is often conducted and is very prominent. Over time, the studies have shown that we are part and parcel of the combination of both of these. It is also often debated that which factor influences more. Heredity is the science where we study the impacts of our genetic factors on our behavior and development, while environment includes every other thing except the hereditary factors. An environment is constituted by the factors present on the surroundings in which an individual is growing up. Meaning of environment? Environment means the totality of the stimuli that impinge on the organism, for without whatever found around the individual may be called by the term environment. According to Anastasi, the environment is everything that affects the individual except his genes. Douglas and Holland, the term environment is the aggregate of all the external forces, influences and conditions which affect the life, nature, behavior, the growth and development and maturation of the living organisms. Environment consists of various types of forces like physical, social, moral, economic, political, cultural and emotional forces. A favorable environment caters to the development of native abilities of a child. According to Gilbert, environment is anything immediately surrounding an object and exerting influences directly on it. The term mental environment means the atmosphere necessary for the mental development of a person. Environmental influence system. Nature refers to what a child has inherited genetically from his or her parents, while the influence of environment on the development of the child is referred to as nurture. To understand the development of a person, we have to study the complex interaction between nature and nurture, or heredity and environment. Environmental influences are important both at the prenatal and postnatal stages of human development. At the prenatal stage, when a fetus is in the mother's womb, internal or external harmful agents such as certain legal or illegal drugs, alcohol, lead and pollutants can harm the unborn baby's development. The mother's nutrition, diseases and emotional stress can also affect the development of the fetus. After birth, several types of environmental factors operate to influence the development of the child. The ecological system theory of development views environmental factors organized as concentric circles of systems as indicated in the diagrammatic representation. Here, individual is the core at the center, including which is affected including his gender, age, health, etc. The microsystem consists of family, school, the religious institution, the friends. Mesosystem encompasses a little larger area. Exosystem consists of neighbors, social service, industries, local political scenarios, mass media, and macrosystem consists of attitudes and ideologies of the culture. The microsystem is the immediate environment at home and interaction between them and the child's own characteristics. The mesosystem consists of the relationship between the family members and school and neighborhood. The exosystem refers to the influence of indirect agencies such as workplace of the parents or community services. The macrosystem is the outermost layer which includes cultural values, laws and customs. The systems are ever changing and dynamic. There is also a chronosystem which refers to the time dimension, As the child grows, there are changes within each system and also changes due to the child's interaction with the environment. On the whole, in ecological system theory, children are both products and producers of their environments in a network of interdependent effects. Environmental influences on child development, the prenatal environment, the chemical balance of the mother's body and the presence of conditions or potentially toxic substances that can alter development processes. Example are the mother's use of drugs or alcohol, viral or bacterial diseases, and direct traumatic injuries to the fetus. The physical environment, the air the child breathes, the nutritional value of the food the child eats, exposure to conditions that can lead to diseases, accidents or injuries including child abuse and neglect. The social cultural environment consists of the norms, values, beliefs, systems and morals, standards of behavior that regulate life in the cultural group in which the child is raised. The learning environment, the degree and type of stimulation available in the child's immediate environment. Sensory input promotes and shapes cognitive development. Stimulation in adequate quantity and intensity promotes establishment of and shapes neural pathways in the brain. The emotional environment, the nature of the child's interpersonal relationships, the degree of nurturance available to the child. The emotional environment shapes personality and affects the development of self-esteem, identity, trust, the ability to enter into intimate relationships and personal resilience. Factors affecting child development. The environment the child grows up in, attention, affection given by parents, acceptance by parents in daily life, overall diet can be a major influence on his or her life. Following factors mentioned information that can help learn more about the role of the environment in child's development. Some of the factors that affect child development are family environment. One of the most important influencing factor on child's development is his or her family. Irrespective of who is child's primary caregiver, parents, older siblings or relatives, the bonding provided within a family home helps nurture and protect the child physically and emotionally. Parents who spend quality time with their children create a secure bond with their children, and hence the child grows with secure attachment and confidence. The time invested in nurturing the child will show in his or her positive development and growth. Family is arguably the most important contributor to a child's development. Growing up, they will observe everything from behaviors to relationship dynamics and internalize these observations as example of how to behave. In this way, how they socialize with others stems largely from how they see their parents, siblings and other relatives interacting with each other. Positivity and love in the family can in turn help the child become positive and loving towards others in their life. This extends to their emotional and moral development as well. Their sense of right and wrong closely mirrors the family moral compass. They can learn what behaviors are appropriate or inappropriate and what consequences can come from those behaviors. In contrast, children who are abused or neglected by their family members suffer in terms of their mental and emotional well-being. These things include corporal punishment and verbal insults and also indifferences. It is important to know that maintaining a good relationship with the child is important but not enough. The entire family needs to be cohesive and protective of each other. For instance, children raised by parents who argue or fight consistently grow up having problems building relationships and friendships. Also, caring for all of the children equally and paying them the same amount of attention will make them develop a sense of fairness and camaraderie. Parenting style can also have a big impact. The family that invests more time and energy will see more positive growth, even in intellectual development. Reading to the child and with the child, spending time playing with them, talking about their day, giving them advices, but also ask for their advice and opinion. This gives them an opportunity to reflect and think on their own, improving their problem-solving skills. Parents and caregivers provide crucial experiences that help determine what happens with any given genetic tendency. The good news is that even with genetic challenges, kids can still turn out well. The child's first social learning occurs at home, and his or her earliest experiences with his or her family, particularly that of with mother, are critical in determining his or her attitude towards expectations of other individuals. The mother remains most important to him or her because she gratifies their primary needs for food, for alleviation of pain, and sources of pleasure for warmth. The infant soon learns to search for and approach his mother whenever he or she is hungry, in pain, and uncomfortable. If the mother is nurturing and gratifies his or her needs promptly and effectively, she rewards the child's approach responses, and these are likely to be repeated. Positive approach responses then gradually generalize to other people as well, and the child develops positive social attitude. Almost all the experts of personality development maintain that early mother-child relationship influence not only a child's immediate behavior but also his or her subsequent and long-term adjustment. The child rearing practices also are taken into account as influencing the personality development. The parental attitude in child rearing processes towards the child growing up, independence and the relationship to exploration and the curiosity strongly influence the development of important motives like curiosity and the drives for autonomy, independence, mastery, competence and achievement, as well as intelligence. This is evident from the different cross-cultural studies of child rearing practices and their influences on child behavior. Permissive and easygoing parents will allow their child to explore and investigate freely, encouraging and rewarding his curiosity and independent behavior. As a result, their children will manipulate their environment actively, thereby developing self-confidence, spontaneity, and the desire for mastery over their surroundings. Parents who severely restrict their children in exploring and manipulating their environment and inhibit the development of motivation for autonomy will ultimately lead to the child's dependent behavior. The same result yields when the mother becomes overprotective. The overprotected children tends to become submissive, compliant, and sometimes passive. The size of the family also matters. In a large family, children learn to compete and cooperate, to live together and share things, to love and help one another. These attributes may be carried into life. In small or nuclear family, the child learns to be independent, take responsibilities, and tend to be confident in their decision processes. If quarrels are rampant, jealousies are acute, these experiences produce attitudes which may affect adjustment outside the home and in later life. Physical environment. The effect of the environment on child development can be understood, and this includes the physical surroundings they are raised in. If the living environment is cramped, noisy, and filled with aggression, then the child's personality can be affected. If there are too many people living at home, and if the attention towards the child is divided, he or she may seek out alternative forms of attention, which can lead to an emotional distance between him or her and the parent. Similarly, unpleasant surroundings often cause children to block out or bury negativity, making them more introverted. School environment. School is an important part of child's life, considering how much time he or she spends there every day. It is in the school that most children first learn to adjust to larger group of people. The personality of the teacher, the richness or drabness of the curriculum, the presence of co-curricular activities, the methods of the nature of the school organization, particularly the type of discipline that prevails, all are going to affect the child's personality. Cruz is of the opinion, and rightly so, that limited curriculum offerings and failure to provide for individual differences are sometimes responsible for failures in classwork, habits of laziness, unruliness, daydreaming, cheating, truancy, and many other undesirable personality characteristics. Over-aggressive and dominating teachers encourage rebelliousness, resistance, and emotional instability in children. Incompatible relationship between teachers and children may cause subject disabilities in reading, arithmetic, or geography, and these in turn may develop backwardness and feeling of inferiority. A good school develops the child educationally and mentally. It provides opportunity for receiving knowledge to think, to reason, and to develop a broader outlook on life. It develops the child socially and emotionally, and thus contributes to personality development. The personality of friends and classmates has a powerful effect on the child's personality. He or she competes with some and cooperates with others. Such attitudes acquired in the school last for years and affect an individual's approach to life and society. They become integrated into his personality. Financial situation. It is not a surprise that money is a deciding factor when it comes to living comfortably. It has been well established that the privilege of wealth is real and that it has a greater impact on childhood development than education. For instance, rich parents can afford to spend more time with their children, and poorer parents are too caught up in making ends meet to have the privileges of quality time. Wealth also helps secure better academic training, opportunities for travel, extra classes, and so on. Health and nutrition. Nutrition is crucial for the physical and mental growth of the child. A balanced diet is also required by pregnant women, as malnutrition can lead to problems like low birth weight, miscarriages and stillbirth, slow development, and so on. In children, habits like unhealthy or excessive eating can lead to weight gain, obesity, diabetes, stunted growth, lethargy, and a host of other complications. Life is full of potential dangers such as bacteria, viruses, toxins, and physical accidents, which can cause anything from minor bumps in the road of life, threatening conditions for children. Furthermore, children's physical health affects their development in myriad ways over time. Children with chronic diseases face unusual stressors and challenges, some of which have enduring psychological effects even if the physical condition clears later. Women who are mindful of their general health during pregnancy leads the infant to have better overall health and immunity, as it depends on what the infant receives from the mother during pregnancy. Class and cultural influences. Family's social and economic class significantly affect a child's physical and mental health. Poor children are more likely to suffer from lack of adequate medical care, poor neighborhoods, inadequate schools, crime, and poor nutrition than kids from middle class families do. These burdens are not insurmountable, but they do pose a significant barrier to optimal development. It is important to realize that some of our most cherished beliefs and attitudes about child rearing are just that, beliefs, not facts, and beliefs that vary widely from one culture to another. Cultures share values, customs, foods, and expectations. Experts talk about different types of culture based on ethnicity, location, religion, age, and gender. Lots of people belong to more than one cultural group. Cultures may profess widely differing attitudes about child rearing practices. Peer influence. As they grow, children's experience expands beyond home into the neighborhood and the playground. So the kids who live next door or down the street and attend the same school exert considerable influence on the development of the child. How well children get along with their peers greatly affect their self-concept and happiness. Children can be terrific companions for one another. Unfortunately, they can also be cruel tormentors. A nice neighborhood is no guarantee that the children who live next door are nice kids. One bully can ruin a childhood. Children discover moral values first from their families but later from their friends. Especially after they start school, most kids try to be like other kids. Fitting in with a peer group becomes increasingly important over time and sometimes conflicts with values learned at home. Influence of unexpected events. Most people cling to the idea that kids become what they become because of a combination of their genetic potential, the environment they grow up in, the parenting they receive, and their own individual efforts, with substantial emphasis on the individual effort part of the equation. The roles played by unexpected environmental events and luck are often given short shrift. The following factors point out how much these other factors influence ultimate outcomes. Traumatic experiences. Unfortunately, traumatic events happen to kids and their families, like car accidents, domestic violence, serious injuries, and natural disasters can occur at any time. If such traumas occur in the first year or two of life, the impact on a child may be variable and more difficult to measure. In any event, traumatic events after the first few years of life, and probably before, can exert powerful enduring effects on children in various ways. The 10 leading causes of death in infants and young children include drowning, motor vehicle accidents, falls, choking, and ingesting poisons. If you care for children regularly, be sure to make your car, home, classroom, and general environment as safe as possible. No one can provide 100% security, but do all that you can. Impact of divorce. Divorce is an unfortunate reality in almost 40% of households with children younger than 18 years. Most studies find that the effect of divorce on children are negative, especially in the first year following the divorce. Problems may be caused by parental conflict and unhappiness as opposed to the divorce per se. However, some studies suggest that those who put off divorce for the sake of their children may cause as much stress and harm to their kids as those who choose to divorce. Environment's impact on child's development. The environment in which a child grows up, the family, the home, the neighborhood, the school all play a big role in how the child develops. During these early years, the child learns mainly through instructions with their environment and with other people. This is how they learn to solve problems, socialize, adopt good habits, and develop the necessary motor skills and strength to function properly. The 5 main areas of child's development that are impacted by the environmental factors are as follows: physical, size, strength, and motor control and coordination; intellectual, thinking, learning, and problem solving; emotional, learning appropriate responses to events, recognizing one's own and others' emotions, expressing the feelings; social, skills needed to successfully interact with others; moral, developing a conscience, differentiating right from wrong, and understanding the impact of actions or words. The child's family can impact all these areas of their development. So, the family has one of the most important influence on child's development. Interaction of genes and the environment. Today, developmental psychologists rarely take such polarized position, either or with regard to most aspects of development. Instead, they investigate the relationship between innate and environmental influences, both or and. Developmental psychologists will often use the biopsychosocial model to frame their research. This model states that biological, psychological, and social, that is socio-economical, socio-environmental, and cultural factors all play a significant role in human development. We are all born with specific genetic traits inherited from our parents, such as eye color, height, and certain personality traits. Beyond our basic genotype, however, there is a deep interaction between our genes and our environment. Our unique experiences in our environment influences whether and how particular traits are expressed, and at the same time our genes influence how we interact with our environment. Diamond 2009, Lobo 2008. There is a reciprocal interaction between nature and nurture as they both shape who we become, but the debate continues as to the relative contribution of each. Individual development, even of highly heritable traits such as eye color, depends not only on heritability but on a range of environmental factors such as the other genes present in the organism and the temperature and oxygen level during development. Environmental inputs can affect the expression of genes, a relationship called gene-environment interaction. Genes and the environment work together, communicating back and forth to create traits. Some concrete behavioral traits are dependent upon one's environment, home or culture, such as the language one speaks, the religion one practices, and the political party one supports. However, some traits which reflect underlying talents and temperaments, such as how proficient at a language, how religious, or how liberal or conservative, can be partially be heritable. In this table, you can see the heritability estimate. This chart illustrates three patterns one might see when studying the influence of gene and environment on individual traits. Typically, monozygotic twins will have a high correlation of sibling traits, while biological siblings will have less in common and adoptive siblings will have less than that. However, this can vary widely by trait. Over time, opinions about what makes kids develop have swung in a wide arc. During some periods, experts have proclaimed that genes largely determine how kids turn out. At other times, scientists have pictured kids as blank slates upon which almost anything could be written. Today, most child psychologists believe that biological, psychological, cultural, social, and chance circumstances interact to create the unique characteristics of each child, and that the degree to which each of those factors influence a particular child can never be known with any degree of certainty. To summarize this module, the environment plays a critical role in the development of human, and it represents the sum total of physical and psychological stimulation the individual receives from conception onwards. Some of the environmental factors influencing early childhood development involve the physical surroundings and geographical condition of the places the child lives in, as well as his social environment and relationship with family and peers. It is easy to understand that well-nurtured child develops better than a deprived one. The environment children are constantly immersed in contributes to this. A good school and a loving family builds children strong socially and interpersonal skills, which will enable them to excel in other areas such as academics and extracurricular activities. This will, of course, be different for children who are raised in stressful environments.